Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Shrewsbury Zoning Board of Appeals public hearing for Monday, February 24th, 2020. Before we get to the public hearing portion of the meeting, there's a few house cleaning items that we need to take care of, paying bills, reviewing some minutes. That being said, oh no, I got it this time. So there's two bills, one for $294 to the Worcester T&G for the January 27th legal notice, and $39.81 to WB Mason for office supplies. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve bills.
Get a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, that's it, just three. Modification, we only have minutes of November 25th and January 6th. Has anyone read them, or anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Nope. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Where are the minutes? Oh, they're in here too. Actually, you sign these. Wait a minute. Oh, there we go.
Where do I sign?
Usually, I guess under Chris. Nope.
We're on here, 45 minutes?
Our,
Okay, if that door's still open, I'll lock the front door, but if my door's closed, can you lock the front door? Thanks.
our first public hearing is to hear the appeal of Dominic Altamari, 42 Knowlton Ave, Shrewsbury, Mass., for 5 dimensional variances to the Town of Shrewsbury zoning bylaw under Section 7, Table 2, for lot frontage, lot area, left side setback, right side setback, and rear yard setback to convert a single-family dwelling to a two-family dwelling upon property located at 42 Knowlton Ave in the Residence B2 District. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 22, Plot 203000. Welcome. State your names for the record.
Good evening. My name is Mike Maroney, engineer. I'm presenting for the Altamaris.
Okay.
this evening. Probably don't need this.
No, we have it.
As you've just said, we're seeking variances for front, side yard, rear yard, and I think that's it, front yard, the side yards, rear yard,
Frontage as well.
and frontage, thank you, for a two-family dwelling. In 1982, the Altamaris bought the property as a two-family dwelling, and for years they rented it, or members of the family lived in the upper apartment until about 5 years ago. At some point, Mr. Altamari's parents needed to live in the apartment, so they moved in, and at some point, the fire, if you will, the fire escape, the second egress, really needed to be replaced. They took it down, and not knowing that this would affect their kind of standing as a two-family, they didn't put it back up again. They also caught a door opening, if you will, so that Mrs. Altamari could go up to the upper level without having to go outside, so that she could care for her in-laws. The hardship here is that the house is actually a two-family dwelling.
What's the hardship?
There, it's set up as two separate, there's two furnaces, there's 2 meters, there's 2
Why
kitchens.
is that a hardship?
They've attempted to sell it as a one-family, and the configuration is not, I don't say, attractive.
So the standard, the legal standard for when we can grant a variance is that there has to be something unique about the topography, shape, soil, or the structures on the property that.
Could we
that-
call this structure, because
It's really not. There's no-
Something unique, though.
You had you had a property that was a two-family. And then it was taken, it was a non-conforming two-family. I'm presuming it was a two-family prior to zoning. It was taken and converted to a one-family use effectively. And if the conversion is more than 2 years long, you've waived the right to the two-family. And at that point, so you've taken a structure that was non-conforming, made it more conforming, and now you want us to make it more non-conforming again,
I see.
without a significant, or without any hardship, really. So I'm not sure what, frankly, we get, this is the third month in a row where we've had these, and they've all, they don't pass. There's no hardship involved. You're really requesting a use variance, in a way. To make a building, I'm not sure, is it conforming? Do you know?
The
Is it one family? Is it a conforming?
I don't actually know that. I was
Okay.
wondering that this evening
Yeah.
myself. It wasn't provided that information.
But you're taking something and making it more non-conforming.
You know, well, again, had they known that taking the stairway down would make it into a turn it
It's
back to
taking the
one they
stairway
wouldn't.
down, it's also just renting it to within the family.
Yeah.
It's not truly a rental property.
Can I ask a few questions?
It would still
factual
be
questions?
two-family, it could still be
Well-
two families.
Well, can I ask a few factual questions that were just unclear from the narrative here? And obviously, the appellants might need to speak up. So it says the property was purchased in 1982. At some point, the parents moved into the rental space. What year was that?
Yeah.
1990?
My son was born.
Okay. And then, did your parents pay rent? Or they did pay rent? Okay. And when was the opening cut between the two units?
Years later,
Yes, yeah.
years later.
While they were still living there or after?
Yes.
So that would have been sometime in the 90s?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And then when did those exterior stairs come down?
Was that?
Sometime around the same time. period.
Around the same time? Okay. So I think
But the entrance to the back's still there.
the back door is there, it's just
The
there's,
landing is there, there's a like
Just
a
the
balcony.
stairs, yeah.
Yeah.
The landing is still there, the stairs are the only thing that are missing, stair treads.
right.
It's
So,
still listed as a two-family house with separate utility bills, separate,
do you continue to rent it or no?
I'm sorry?
Do you continue to rent it?
No,
No, since your parents live there?
no, because,
Kids
yeah,
are growing up.
kids are grown up, so, and if we would have to put a lot of things back into it.
Right.
And unless we can get this permission,
Right.
we're
And-
kind of stuck. We
right.
have two electric meters, 2 gas bills, 2 boilers,
Mm-hmm.
2 water heaters. We have 2 of everything.
Two kitchens.
Right.
It's a full kitchen upstairs, a full
Right.
kitchen downstairs.
And so, you weren't renting it, your parents no longer live there, though?
No,
So, since your parents have no longer lived there, have you used it as a single family, basically? Like,
Once my kids were upstairs,
okay, so they were living there,
they were living there.
okay. Not paying rent, but just living there because they were growing up there, okay.
Right, the electric bill's still in my daughter's name.
Right,
the downstairs is not big enough for a large family. So it's,
Right.
we need
Yeah.
it, you know?
I guess what I'm sort of asking, because I think what Chairman Rosen's getting at is that if you sort of abandon the use, even if your parents were paying rent, so say your parents were paying rent, maybe that's still a two-family because you've got 2 different people in there paying separately to live there. But if they no longer lived there since the 90s, it sounds like, then it's been 20 years since it's been used as a two-family. And so
My children were living upstairs.
The children is part of the family, that's.
Right.
so it's still, so that it'd be a single family at that point. So then the question is, if 20 years have gone by since it's been used as a two-family, have you abandoned its status as a two-family, which is something that's under the bylaws and under the law? And so I think that's the question before us, really.
If we would have known, we would have put the wall
Right.
back up without, you know,
We would
without,
have put the stairs back up.
yeah, we would
Right.
have put that wall back up and the stairs back without anybody even questioning anything. It's like-
So I think the,
So you're punishing us for removing.
well,
moving
sir,
the
with all
stairs.
respect, we're not trying to punish anyone. We're trying to apply the bylaws fairly, and we try to do that for all parties that come before the board. So I don't know that I necessarily appreciate that, but,
That's the hardship part.
well, the,
Hardship, that's not a hardship based on zoning
Yeah,
bylaws.
because now we have a property that's
Yeah.
lost a ton of value, because we removed the set of stairs on the back of the house.
Right.
And so therefore, you know, we've been paying taxes an X amount of dollars, but now you're saying it's not, and the value has dropped tremendously because of that. I mean, still it's zoned a two-family house. Everything
It's
about
not
it-
zoned as a two-family house, that's
It is,
the,
it isn't a zone.
no, it's not.
No.
It's a single-family house.
yeah, that's why you're
But
here.
zoned
It's
as
allowed.
a
It's,
two-family.
it's allowed, but you need 5 variances.
Well, the variance, I understand.
Well,
but
that's,
when you look at the.
variances are not given out, just come here and get a variance. There has,
When you look at the paperwork from the town, for the assessors department, it's
the-
still listed.
they assess what they see. Their assessment has no bearing on zoning. Yeah.
You said you've been trying to market this house and you've been unsuccessful. Have you tried to market it as an in-law apartment?
Well,
I said, I'm sorry, so what?
In-law.
As an in-law apartment?
I think,
That would be probably one way you could try to market it, and you would still have to come for a special permit in order to get an in-law apartment. Not a variance, you would need a special permit if I'm not mistaken.
Well, except the issue with an in-law apartment is it expires with current ownership, and then
So
the
the next
subsequent
people-
owner would have to
Right.
apply.
But that would be an option that whoever wants to buy it, they could try to get a permit for an in-law apartment.
But that's a big question mark then too, for somebody,
Yeah.
Well, it's probably a lot more likely to get a special permit than 5 variances.
big question.
I think if it was coming before us as a use variance, I think it would be a much easier question for me, because then it's just, you know,
How
it's
does
a
that
different.
work? My ignorance, how does that work?
Mr. Chair,
You would still need the dimensional, still have to meet the
you'd
dimensional
still have to meet the
requirements.
dimensional requirements, yeah, so actually a use variance might
Yeah.
not make a difference then.
Why does the variances have such a big effect on the actual structure and the fact that it was two-family for like, from the day?
Because it was built prior to zoning. So when zoning came in, it really didn't qualify as a two-family based on the zoning. But because it was built before zoning, it's considered what's called a pre-existing non-conforming use. And as long as you continue that pre-existing non-conforming use without a gap of more than 2 years, you're entitled to continue that use.
So we needed,
But you've abandoned the use for 20 years.
so we needed more land, is that what?
Well, yeah, you need a lot. You need more land on 3 sides, and plus you need more frontage,
More frontage.
Why is that, why is that?
because that's what the bylaw says. There's dimensional requirements for what a house lot is.
may I ask a
Absolutely.
question? So when, so the criteria for a two-family house means that your own family can't live in it?
Typically, if it's just your family living there, that's not a two-family house.
I think there's some question if they were paying,
Suppose my daughter had married, and she and her husband were living.
It's open to question. It's
It's-
not so
so-
black and white, but that's not what the
So my
circumstances are.
family, my own children living in there,
Everyone's children lives in their houses, so does that mean every family in town has a two-family house?
I
and if
think,
they were paying rent?
Doesn't
The
matter.
question is more that, that you're trying to sell it as a two-family.
Right.
Just because of the way the house
Because
is?
nobody
Right, if it has
wants
2 kitchens
Because
and-
of the
Yeah,
2
two-
water heaters, 2 boilers,
Two kitchens,
2 kitchens.
is there's a rear porch that is ready to go out the door? The front is all set up and ready to go out the front
2
door?
laundry hookups upstairs, laundry hookups
Everything,
downstairs.
everything about it, other than
Is
the
a
variances,
two-family.
it's a two-family house. I mean, and we made the mistake of, you know, taking that rear set of stairs away. That's why I'm saying, we're being punished for taking down a set of stairs.
But that wouldn't have mattered. There was a 2-year gap
There's a
in the
2-year
time.
gap. You
That's
haven't
the-
used it for
it's a
20
time
years.
gap, Mark.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, even the 2-year gap, I mean, so we still, I believe we're being punished for taking a set of stairs
No,
down without
it's
knowing.
it's
That's
not
not
being,
it, though.
it's a use that expired because it hasn't been used for 20 years.
You mentioned that your daughter lived there. Was she, to me, I think it makes a difference if someone's paying rent or not, even if they're a first-year relative. Did you have adult children paying rent there?
Adult children contributed. They gave me money every week from their pay.
And how long, is that ongoing, or how long ago did that
That
stop?
was- I can't listen
I'm
to
sorry.
you at the same time.
How long ago did that stop?
What, Matthew graduated, what, 2013?
Okay, so still a few years,
So
too
I think
many.
it's worth pointing, sorry to interject.
No, go ahead.
I think it's worth pointing out that the staircase is important because to have a two-family dwelling, you need 2 means of egress.
Right.
So once you remove a means of egress, it can no longer count as a two-family.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that both those changes, the wall changes, interiors, from speaking to the building department, were done without permits, both the interior wall being taken out and the exterior staircase being taken down.
So that was noted?
That was noted, and it's in my
Yeah, so
comment
the
letter
other
as well.
issue is, had you gone to the town and pulled permits, you may have been advised at the time.
My husband and I
Yeah.
are very, believe
Yeah.
me, we do plastering, put
Yeah.
up sheet rock, we do tile work, we do masonry work together. We do a ton of work together.
Never in a million years, I would have thought that you need a permit to just, for
To
the
do
rear
work in
steps
your
or
own
something, you know.
house. I don't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know you had needed a permit.
So the difference is, just you were asking before, a single-family house in your district needs a lot of 12,500 square feet. A two-family is 20,000 square feet. You need 100 feet of frontage for a single-family house. You need 150 feet of frontage for a two-family house. The side yard setbacks go from 10 feet to 30 feet. The rear yard goes from 40 to 50 feet. So it's a lot of relief that you're requesting. It's not just,
But as a single family, it would have been, it was not.
it's a pre-existing non-conforming as a single family as well.
Since 1927.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
On the same lot.
But that's the reason why we're here, is to ask for your,
yeah,
whatever the right word is, it's a two-family house. I understand that the variances have changed, the
Yep.
bylaws have changed, but at the end,
Well,
the bylaws have changed. At the end of the day, it's a two-family house. It's not conforming, but it's still a two-family house. And we're here to ask for your help,
Yeah.
I mean, for your advice. I mean, it's like, that's really what we're here for, you know? It's like, I know you understand you have to go by the laws and rules, but it's at the same time, it's a two-family house.
To ask the clarifying question, when you bought the house, the second kitchen was there, the second boiler was there, the second laundry hookups, all of these things were already there. Okay, you didn't add any of that.
Pre-existing.
Okay.
We put a new kitchen in, we took the old cabinets out, he and I installed new cabinets upstairs.
Right, but replacing something that already existed.
Yeah,
Right.
So-
but we do a ton of work on our own, just
Yeah.
the two of us.
Okay.
anything else to add, or?
I have a clarifying question
Oh.
for Mr. Cahill.
Sure.
When you do work yourself, do you still need to pull permits for work that would otherwise require a permit if a contractor did it?
If you're changing the inside.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yes,
To make sure it still complies with
Technically,
code
yes.
and everything?
yep.
Right,
It's also for your benefit as well, for insurance reasons,
right,
if something were to happen.
okay.
Well,
Anyone?
when we hired people, we did.
Yeah.
When we hired the guy who changed the boilers and the water heaters and.
Oh, sure.
But when we did work, we didn't touch any plumbing or electrical or
Right.
anything else. We're just removing one cabinet, putting another cabinet, but not really touching anything that you would require a permit for, I don't think, you know? Electrical, plumbing, whatever,
Right.
didn't touch any of the stuff.
Okay.
Do you have anything? Any
No,
questions?
I'm good.
Matt?
I'm good.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. There being no further questions or comments, we'll take it under advisement. You'll be notified of our decision.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Oh, we have a withdrawal from,
Yes, we received a withdrawal request, or the board's received a withdrawal request for 864 Hartford Turnpike. I believe did you put the paperwork up there? So the
Which
paperwork
is the cell tower.
Yeah.
that would, yes, I guess cell antenna, right?
Yeah. I have no issues with that. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve the withdrawal.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? And I will use your voting sheet, because I don't have a letter. Okay, any discussion for 42 Knowlton Ave?
Well,
You know, I
personally, I feel
Yeah, I feel bad for them
really
too,
bad for
but-
them,
But it's
and-
5 variances.
No,
and
I
it's a
understand. I mean,
total-
there's, the hardship is just, there is none.
There is none, right.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to put my 2 cents in where it didn't belong, but, I mean, we're in a good real estate market, so
Yeah.
if they're not selling their house, there's something more,
wrong with
there's something
it.
wrong with it
Right.
besides that. So I would just say, I'm not so sure that it affects the value all that much,
Right.
which is, makes it easier to vote no.
Right. Any other discussion? Matt?
I just think, you know, just like all the last ones that we've been seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I am a little bit closer on this one because I think, you know, something unique about a structure can be a hardship, and the fact that it's existing when they bought it was
Right.
already carved up that way, but I think we've had a number of other situations like that recently where we came out the other way, and I know every single case should be taken at its own
Right.
merits,
They're all
but
different, but,
If we had something in the bylaw that states something like that.
Right.
Then we have a little wiggle room.
Yeah.
But it doesn't state it in the bylaw, you know what I mean?
Right.
No wiggle room
yeah.
at all.
And I think
I hear where you're coming from, Pete.
an awful lot of time has also
Can I ask a-
passed since it was used
can I
as a
ask a
two-family.
hypothetical? Let's, for the sake of argument, assume that this is going down.
This is what,
Going
Ron?
down, not going to be approved.
Yeah.
And let's say a year from now, the town passes a bylaw for an auxiliary dwelling unit. Would that preclude the fact that they have a denial?
What do you
That
mean
preclude them
preclude?
from coming back?
Would it preclude them from using, like, if there was a bylaw that allowed an auxiliary dwelling unit?
Accessory dwelling units,
Accessory, I'm
right.
sorry, accessory
Yeah,
dwelling unit.
okay.
To come back
Would,
and
would the denial tie their hands for 2 years, or would they, since it's a new bylaw, they'd be able to?
So probably it would depend on if, what requirements dimensionally in-law or accessory dwelling units would require, if any,
Okay,
right? So as you know, any, in-law apartment that's in an outbuilding and it's over 200 square feet has to meet all dimensional requirements for, like a primary structure, principal structure. It'd be the same case here. So if it's internal, they could actually probably go for an in-law apartment. I don't believe, I'm trying to think real quick off the top of my head, I don't believe there are any dimensional impacts to that.
no, because it's in
That
the
I know
existing,
of.
it's, right, no.
So
there
if it's
isn't.
internal to it, yeah, so probably not.
We actually prefer them when they're internal, yeah.
Yeah, right, because then nothing changes
Right.
externally,
Right.
right? So, yeah, no, it shouldn't preclude them from that.
Okay, I was just curious. Okay, so can I get a motion?
Motion to
Deny?
deny, thank you, sorry.
Second,
Are we in?
I'm
we do
doing
it the double negative
No,
again?
I'm just still doing opposed. Okay, all in favor of a denial and opposing this variance?
All in favor, aye.
Okay, anyone in favor of the variance? Okay.
It's still hard.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
People,
No, I know.
You know?
It's,
I think it's, if so much time hadn't gone by,
Right.
maybe, but,
maybe it was like 2 years and a month. you know,
Right.
it was-
yeah, but you have the stairs gone.
Right.
The hole in the wall, 20 years.
yeah. And I think the point is good that if
Five.
permits had been pulled, it might
They
have
would
come
have
to
been,
their
they would have
attention,
been
so.
notified that,
Oh,
you sure you want to do this? Yeah.
that happens all the time, trust me.
Oh, I know.
We should start giving scarlet letters for no permits. Bernie likes that
You don't see that
idea.
too often, do you?
We try. Would prefer people to get their permits.
Yeah.
Eases a lot of headaches in the future.
Yeah, we'll have to have a story offline chat offline about that.
We have,
Oh,
there's other business
More
there.
items.
New business?
So new business, this is the annual Citizen Planner Training Collaborative Conference,
Oh, March something.
CPTC as it's
Yeah,
commonly known
I
as.
saw the email.
It's put on, right, by UMass. It's for training professionals and also citizen volunteers on different committees, Board of Appeals and Planning Board specifically. So if you are interested in this, please let Krista know, and then let your choices, there's like courses or seminars, I guess, throughout it. So I think there's like 5 you need to choose from. So if you are interested, it's on a Saturday. It's great, it's very informative. If you even have time to go for part of it, I think it's great. Yeah, and it's good, right?
Yeah, it
Like,
is,
it's
yeah.
really
It
informative.
is.
Except it's always during tax season.
Yeah, that's, all right, fair enough. But if you do know if you would like to go, like I said, even for part, just let Krista know and what selections you've got, and,
It's helpful.
it is. So I think that was it, really.
Okay, and that's it. Any other business? Anyone have anything? Can I get another motion?
To adjourn?
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?